Okay, welcome. We're back talking today with Quez at the very nice Soiree Steak and Oyster House. Thanks for having us down there. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
First, we got to know, who is Quez? Give us like birth to now.
You know what I tell people, Mike? Google me, okay? Google me and see what comes up, okay? It's going to come up the superstar. You have a superstar, Quez. But I'm Quez. I am this guy who believes in his dream, and I make it possible. And I tell anybody, anything can happen when you believe. I started off just doing events, programs, and I also run my own company, and I also do events and programs for the Jazz Museum. So I have two big things I do, and I love it.
Two passions.
Two passions.
All right, so I know a little bit of your background because we've been friends for a little bit now.
Yes,
so
yes.
You were born in Kansas City,
yes.
Grew up here, then left,
yes,
and then came back.
Kansas City brought me back.
So why did Kansas City bring you back?
I always tell people, you can't take over anywhere else unless you take over your own city. So now I can go to New York, Florida, anywhere else because this is my city and I love this place. It brought me back. My grandpa was really sick and I had to move back to Kansas City. And while I was here, it was like I was finding my purpose through that whole process. And so I'm here and I'm like this ball of fire taking over the city. So that's what I do.
So your purpose, so you work with the Jazz Museum doing events,
yes.
plus you have your own event
yes.
Company. So why are you so passionate about Kansas City? Why is this part of your project?
Because people need me. People need that voice. I'm not scared of nobody. I'm not scared of politics. People, religion, all that is beneath me. I'm a creative. So you either love me or hate me, honey. That's what you get from Quez. You know what I'm saying? So I'm this guy who believes with people that don't believe in themselves, you know? Like, I believe in this community, and that's why we're here on 18th and Vine. As we know, you have the Plaza, you have Westport, you have everything else, and I represent 18th and Vine. I represent music, I represent black people, I represent culture, I represent some of the people who forgot about, and I'm that person they can look to, and that's who Quez is. Quez is a brand that loves people, and to be community, to make a difference in this world, you have to love people, and that's why I'm liking this interview with you, because I met Mike, y'all, okay? He's a cool guy, and so that's why I'm here.
So, you're committed to 18th and Vine, you're committed to the core of the city. You live down here, you own your own home just a little bit
yes.
north of here. So tell me about that. What's that like, owning your own home? Why is home
and
important?
I can't tell people where I stay because all the people want to be in my house, Mike. Okay, I stay in the community. Okay.
Okay.
But I mean, to make a difference, sometimes you have to move to the place where you're trying to make a difference from. I used to stay in Grandview, and I moved back to Kansas City, and I moved down here. I can't change my street until I stay here, you know. And so that's where I'm working on. Like I want to move to New York one day so bad, you know. I want to manage Broadway theater. That's one of my next dreams. But I can't do that here unless I change what I do now.
Right. So you got to be on all day in your job. I mean, you're doing events. Then you do your own personal stuff. When you walk across that door, that threshold into your house, what does that feel like? What does home mean to you?
I call my home the dream house. Yeah, literally I call my house the dream house. I go in and anybody that comes into my house have to write on, I have a wall of dreams. And so they got to write their name in the dream. I literally have a dream home. So when I come to my home, I'm like, wow, what else do I need to do to make what I do? That's the only reason why I'm alive. If I'm not helping people, why not do it?
Yeah.
That's just real.
That is real. So if you were to remodel one room in that house, what room is it, and then what are you doing?
First off, I will put cheetah print wallpaper, and I'm in the process of putting cheetah print wallpaper on.
You're all cheated out today.
Okay, do y'all see the shoes? Look at the shoes. No, but like I like being who I am is just going out the box. And so when you come into my house, I'm literally making one of my rooms an aquarium. So you can buy 3D paper, you know that?
Yeah.
And make aquarium at one of your rooms.
So that you're already doing your dream room.
I am doing my dream house, you know, right now. And one day when I be really, really, really this person you're going to see on TV, you're going to remember this interview, okay? Remember me.
I'll remember you.
And it's going to be, I'm going to make my house my museum one day. Yeah.
That's very cool.
Mike, you're like, what?
Well, I mean, yeah, that's cool. how familiar are you with our African American initiative and ReeceNichols?
I know that you guys are trying to make a difference, and you wouldn't be making a difference if the CEO wasn't talking to somebody who's actually making a difference in the Black community. And that's why I'm doing this interview. And I appreciate you doing this. You know, a lot of people say they're going to do stuff or talk about stuff, but not even knowing the problem. And you was willing to talk to me, and they say, hey, Quez, you know, say, what's going on? And that's how you make a change first. A lot of times people see what happened in the past. Who cares? You know, we learn from our past and we move forward. And that's what you're trying to do now.
So what do you think the community thinks of ReeceNichols?
Oh, girl. That's why I cross my legs. What do the community think? I mean, there's good and bad. I mean, let's just be real. We know what happened with ReeceNichols years ago. We can't change the family's history. We can only correct what they did. And we learn from our mistakes and we move on.
Do you think the community would be accepting of that?
I think the community needs to hear what you guys want to do for the community. Sometimes we say, oh, we're going to do this or we're going to do that, but what changes everything. Change starts by you saying, hey, what can I go for? You knocking on the door to someone older, an older person. You know, that might make a difference. That's change right there. What can we do? Sit down and hear their stories.
Right.
That's change.
Right.
Change is you actually taking off from your busy schedule, coming down here to see how you can make a change in the community.
Yeah, you know, I'd love to get your opinion. So the Fair Housing Act came into play a long time ago, but since that act was put in place, the difference between white ownership and black ownership has not moved one bit. Still 30% difference. So why is that? Why?
First off, it's a lot, and let's start off. We're not given sometimes the information as black people. We don't get the same information on 18th and Vine. People are going to get in Overland Park. People are going to get in Lee Summit. And I'm just talking about the people. Let's just make it real. Yep. There's white people, there's black people. We don't get enough funds. We don't get enough knowledge. We don't get enough resources. There we go. We don't get these resources sometimes to know what to do. So that's what we need to make a difference. That's how change happens.
Right.
And
so I'm going to go back in my memory banks with you, right? Mm-hmm. So your parents took you to Lee Summit, right? Yeah. And so they provided that. They instilled something in you that you knew you needed to buy your own house. You needed to do that.
My parents wanted me to do better than what they did.
Right.
And sometimes, like I always tell people, our parents are not taught how to be parents. They only see what their parents did. In the black culture, you have generations. Like my mother had to learn from her mother and my grandpa. My grandma and grandpa owned the house. But being black, a lot of majority, I don't know what the percentages is, but we don't have ownership. And it's not like we can't, but some of us are scared or we don't know how. My people perish for lack of knowledge.
Right.
So sometimes being a black person, we're not getting that knowledge to own a home.
Right.
To be a realtor.
Right. And that's our commitment. You know, you and I have discussed, it starts with education.
We've
got to get into the community and teach people why buying a house is so important, what that does to your family, how does that change your wealth. We've got to get better. We've got to have more African American agents in our company. We're doing really for you. We're doing better and better, but not great yet.
What do you tell that person, Mike, that's going to come to you and say, hey, Mike, what are you doing to change? You're the new CEO. What is ReeceNichols going to do to change now?
Right.
What do you say to that question?
Well, we got to build trust, right? So we have to be in the community and do things like we're going to do this afternoon and teach people about home ownership, right? And so it's not a scary proposition.
Right.
We'll hold your hand and walk you through the whole process. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have 100% of the money or 20% of the money down. There are programs that are in place that we can get you into a house with little or no money, especially in the African American and Latino community.
So we teach people programs and resources. That's where change happens.
Plus, our parent company has set up a 501(c) where we're going to provide down payment assistance to people that really need it, right? So once we have to go all the way back and start with bank accounts and getting credit and teaching people that, not everybody that comes to you is going to be bad and try to rip you off, right? We've got to instill that trust. And so we've got a group of agents that are committed to this. They're going to be in the community doing these things and talking to people and teaching people. And once we get them their credit fixed, and then show them that even if you bought a $100,000 house and you keep it for 2-3 years and that's worth $120,000, and then you buy $150,000 or $160,000, you're starting to build wealth in that, and that wealth continues and carries on to your family as you grow.
So it turns to more. It's not about race anymore. It's about what can I do for you to help you.
I've lived in Kansas City all my life, and I want our company to reflect what the community looks like.
Yes, I agree.
And it doesn't. It does, and that, we were talking earlier. I mean, we're really good at selling houses. We're bad about selling houses to African American and Latinos and people of color. We've got to get better. And part of that is education, because, as you said, the community hasn't taught itself how to do it. So we've got to be the messenger. We've got to get in there and say, hey, it's not as scary as you think.
Right. And that's what we like to hear.
Perfect. All right. Final question for you. How 3 adjectives. So you're a younger guy, but 30 years from now, 40 years from now, you're retired. What are 3 adjectives that people will say about Quez? Just 3. It's only 3. Fun.
Courageous. Daredevil.
I love those.
Dope.
All right, what else do you have for me?
What would you choose? You only get 3, Mike.
I think I would say, I always tell people, like when I go to people's funerals and say, I knew your father, they were a good person. I want to be remembered as a good person. That was fair to everybody, right? So good. I like fun, because I like having fun. And then also a changer. You can never be satisfied with just who you are. You got to continue to change.
You got to say game changer.
That's 2 words.
I mean, but you can get it. You can get game changer.
I can do game changer.
Yes.
We'll hyphenate that word.
Ow.
All right. Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
You.
Yep.
Let's get it.
Yep. Let's have fun today.
Let's do it.
All right.